Hey guys, it's Adam here, and I am in Los Angeles for E3, and so I apologize for the shoddy camera work. I'm just here on my phone in my hotel room. So I just watched the Nintendo conference, and I completely forgot last night when I made I think it was the PlayStation conference video. I completely forgot there was even going to be a Nintendo conference. My bad, but of course I watched it, and I want to talk about it now. So I apologize for the video quality on all that stuff, but you can kind of just listen to it if you're interested. But yeah, the Nintendo conference thing is, we'll talk about the presentation towards the end as an overall thing, but let's just talk about the games right now. So Nintendo obviously does these things a little differently. They don't do like the big stage thing. They have like basically a pre-recorded, pre-edited, pre-produced video that they just air in that time slot. So here's what they did. It opened with a game called Daemon X Machina. Now maybe that game has been announced at some point, but I had never seen it, never heard of it. Or if I did, I completely forgot about it. It looked fucking cool, so definitely looking forward to seeing more of that. It was like a mech game. That's basically the impression I got from it. It looked pretty awesome. They then showed Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. I believe it was called Torna. Now I still haven't played that game. Shit, I haven't played the first one yet. But they showed the DLC for it, so that's very cool. If people are obviously supporting that franchise, it's great. More content for them. Then they had the big thing about Pokemon Go. Now I knew they had announced the Pokemon Go. There's two different Pokemon Go games coming out for the Switch. So they just gave you basically more detail. Now I'm gonna tell you right up front, Pokemon has never been my franchise. Like, not even close. Even when I was a kid, I didn't care. But that said, no hate or anything. It just wasn't for me. But so they talked about it, and they said a couple of things that I even admit I thought was cool. Like, if I was a fan of the series, I would definitely be excited about. It's got compatibility with the mobile version, so Pokemon Go. I'm sorry. If you played it on your phone and stuff, you can actually transfer that information over to the Switch version. They're also releasing a little accessory for it called the Pokeball Plus, which he said you can kind of treat like a Joy-Con, but you can essentially play the Pokemon with that and just kind of throw it and all that stuff and have the characters work that way, which, I mean, again, my knowledge of Pokemon is rather limited because, again, it was never really my thing, but even I acknowledge, like, that's kind of cool. That kind of really makes you almost feel like you're really doing that, and I know that's one of the coolest things about video games, is letting you have those experiences and letting you feel like you're a part of those worlds, and I always respect the hell out of that. Even if it's not a game franchise I particularly care much for, I acknowledge that what they're doing there is fucking neat. So congratulations to Pokemon fans, because that's certainly going to be something I'm sure you guys will really, really enjoy, and I'm sure it'll sell retarded amount of copies. They then showed Super Mario Party. This one I definitely had not heard anything about, and I find it interesting, and I'm happy about this one. First of all, the game actually looked pretty cool. I've never been too into the Mario Party games, but I have to admit that one was cool. It had like cross compatibility between multiple Switches. It had a ton of mini games that you can, and the way they presented it, they were trying to show that you don't have to just use it at home. Obviously, one of the benefits of the Switch is the ability to do it portably, but I mean, you could do it at, they showed like a campfire scene where, people were out camping, and so there was an actual fire, but they were out picnic camping type of thing, and they showed people playing a game there, just like something else you can do in these other contexts. So that looked pretty cool. What surprised me about that one, though, is I was kind of expecting, like, Mario Party 10 DX or something like that, just to kind of get another game out there. But to their credit, they built one from the ground up for the Switch. Props to you, Nintendo. That was a cool thing to do. In fact, for the most part, there really weren't that many, like, Wii U ports that are being brought to the Switch, at least in this particular announcement. So, hey, man, that's pretty awesome. They then showed Fire Emblem, I think it's Three Houses, which I believe that had been announced previously. We knew about that. It was just, they just showed more of it. RPG type of thing. Obviously, a beloved franchise, goes all the way back to Super Nintendo, Super Famicom. Never been my thing, again, because RPGs, but I've never been into that gameplay mechanic really, but still, definitely cool they got that out there. Then some of the worst kept secret, because I think this actually did leak, or at least was announced. I know I'd heard about this previously, which was Fortnite coming to the Switch, which is actually free to play for a little bit, at least currently digitally, and yeah, that could be really huge on the Switch potentially, as long as it doesn't have like a really stupid internet infrastructure, which Nintendo's never really been known for great internet infrastructure. But if they do that right, man, that could be a massive hit for them. Then he said they were debuting. Reggie came out and he said they were debuting a few different games, some of which here's the thing. Some of these I knew about because I get like all the E3 emails and stuff from different companies, but I don't know to most people if they had heard of these or not. Overcooked 2, for example, is coming out to the Switch. I knew that in advance, although he said it in the presentation that they hadn't announced it yet, so I don't know. Killer Queen Black, which is that game, I never heard of that one actually. If I had, I just heard the name. But that game actually looked really, really cool. And then Hollow Knight, which is apparently out now. So that's awesome. Then they showed more of Octopath Traveler, which was cool. And then they did this montage thing of like all the upcoming games they've got for Switch. And that was kind of a nightmare because I was just trying to jot down stuff on, paper. And they just rapid fired these games. Like each game maybe had like 5 to 8 seconds of time. So I won't have much feedback on most of these. In fact, there was definitely games they showed that I couldn't write down. Like I just didn't have time. So the first one up was Starlink, which is the Ubisoft game. I actually played a bit of that last night. I've held that R-Wing toy and everything. It's I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about it. It kind of reminded me of like a competent No Man's Sky, but more aimed at children with an emphasis on that toy capability. So it was kind of like, I kind of get the feeling that like a number of years ago somebody said, hey, that No Man's Sky thing looks like it's going to be big. And these like Disney Infinity, Skylanders, and Amiibo things are big. Why don't we fuse that? And this is the result of it. That's kind of the sense I got. I'm not saying those are bad things because it sounds like I'm mixing bad things, but that's not what I'm saying. It was okay, but then again, I only had like 20 minutes of exposure to it, so I haven't had much time with it. But that's more exposure than I had to a lot of these games. Next up, they showed a thing called Arena. At least I think I wrote Arena. I was going so fucking fast with the terrible handwriting. Then I know there was one there I missed. Then they showed Minecraft and showed a big Mario thing in there. Sushi Striker. I don't even know what the hell I wrote. It looks like PITA, which is obviously wrong. PITA. But that can't be correct. The Mario Rabbids DLC, which I had the opportunity to play last night, but I just ran out of time, so I never got the chance. A Dragon Ball Z thing, Splatoon 2 DLC, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, Ninjalo, Carcassonne, FIFA 19, which I was surprised to see because I had been told that EA announced no additional Switch content, which FIFA 19 wouldn't exactly be exclusive Switch content, but it technically is a game from them. I have no idea what I wrote there. Well, it looks like I wrote Westavo, which is not a thing. Paladins, which is like a Smite thing. I've been to a Smite tournament thing, and that was there. I played that very, very briefly. Fallout Shelter, which we found out at the Bethesda conference. Dark Souls, Wolfenstein 2. It looks like I wrote Magma 2. I don't think that's right. Look at my hair, guys. Oh, you can't, can you? The camera is not good enough for this. Let's see if we can do this. Can you see that at all? No, it's just totally overexposed. I apologize. Maybe we can get... There you go. Look at that shit. Can you read that crap? Because I really can't. And that's my fucking handwriting. Anyway, I apologize for that little demo there. So, Mario Tennis and Ark. Now, Mario Tennis we knew about. I didn't know that Ark was coming out to the Switch. That's cool. Then... they had like the big reveal, or the big announcement, the thing they spent the most time on, which was Super Smash Brothers, which is now called Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. And then they did a lot of detail about that game, so let me give you the notes that I've got here. First big thing that was part of that was that Solid Snake will be playable in the game. And then ultimately they went on to say that all characters in all of Super Smash Brothers history who have ever been playable will be in this game. I thought that was fucking neat. They showed a whole bunch of information about levels and how they've got new ones, but then they've got classic ones that have been completely updated and all that fun stuff. They added the Inkling character from Splatoon 2 is now playable. Then they had this thing about assist trophies, which is a thing that has been in Smash Brothers for a little bit. Basically, like, while you're playing, there's like a little you have like an extra side character who can pop in and do a move and then jump back out, type of thing. But they made a big deal about some of these characters, and they've added new characters to that are not playable, or if they are playable, it's very, very briefly. Like, you can use them to hit like once or twice before they jump away. One of which is Bomberman will now be in there. So that's cool. And then there's apparently there's going to be GameCube controller support, which makes sense. It's a staple of that franchise, basically. It's also going to support amiibos. And all the, so if you have like all of the, so like for example, with all the Mario amiibos, there's like a bajillion different Mario amiibos, but every single one of them does the same thing. So if you have like the Mario, regular Smash Mario, or if you have the one with him in that nice suit or whatever, they accomplish the same purpose within the confines of the game. So you don't have to own them all if you don't want to. And if your amiibo support from the Wii U game is transferable, so you can use all that updates and all the progress you've ever made over there. That's cool. Then they made it seem like, okay, it's over, and then they did the, oh wait, one more thing, type of moment, which was to announce that there was a new character coming, not just Inkling, but it was actually Ridley. Ridley is a Metroid villain who has a history with the Smash Brothers games of being like in the background, and that I think possibly even one of those assist trophies. And apparently there's been, I didn't know this, but there was a lot of fan demand to get Ridley as a playable character in Smash Brothers for a number of years, and this was them announcing it, that's going to be a thing. So Ridley will be playable in the game. And the game releases on December 7th this year. So there you go. That was kind of all the information in a nutshell. The thing I want to talk about, though, is the actual presentation. People have been giving Nintendo a lot of shit for the way they do these things, because they don't do the traditional, like, everything's on a stage and have that sort of conference, which can be good and bad. Like, some companies put on a good show and don't give you great announcements. Other companies give you good announcements but don't give you a good show, and then sometimes they put on a terrible announcement and a terrible show. It's always a mixed bag. But what I'm learning, the more I get involved with all this media stuff that I'm now involved in through my YouTube channels that I work on and all the stuff I get access to now, is that it's usually Japanese companies that do this kind of shit. Japanese companies want stuff to be highly scripted. They want it to be very highly controlled. They don't really like... I guess the way I would say this is a company like Microsoft or Ubisoft will offer a lot of information publicly, and they'll be very friendly towards journalists and content creators and those kinds of things, which is why you have the conferences kind of operate the way you do. Whereas companies like Sony or Nintendo, which are Japanese, typically keep things closer to the chest. Sony's kind of a mixed bag, because they're like a Japanese company that's almost run like an American one. They're weird. But as you obviously can tell, Nintendo is very close to the chest on these things, which can be frustrating for a lot of people, because you want to work with Nintendo and everybody says like it's a fucking pain in the ass. Same can be true of Sega or really any Japanese company. They do that a lot, but you gotta give them credit sometimes. There is some logic to it. The fact that they keep everything so close to the chest means that they're much better at the reveals. They're much better at being like, and here's a surprise. Because we didn't share information. We didn't tell anybody about this. We didn't go out to YouTubers and try to get them to do anything with us. They just, here's our game. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see that work in both directions. Like, sometimes, it can make for a really good show and it can be really exciting and all that stuff, but we knew it all in advance, you know what I mean? And then other times it makes for a very boring show, but you're like, wow, how cool is that? I had no idea that was coming. So it's weird to see these like different types of conference styles and how they work and all that. So anyway, so that's basically my thoughts on them. As per usual, their conference style is, to me, not a very interesting one, but hey, I gotta give them props, man. They're the only one that I was like, shit, okay, I didn't see that coming, or wow, okay, that's cool. Good on them. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed, to some extent, these little E3 reaction videos to conferences. I believe this is actually the end now. So hopefully I get to do this again next year. Now, here's my own surprise announcement, although I announced this on Twitter, so I'm American. I leaked information. Oops. I will be, if you're at E3, I will be at the Sega booth on Wednesday morning with Corey Marshall, he's the voice of Ryo Hazuki, and Lisa Wilkerson, who is the voice of Joy, Shuying, Yuan in Shenmue 2. The three of us will be hanging around the Sega booth, filming videos, signing autographs, taking photos. I mean, they're the actual Shenmue talent. I am not. I'm just a fucking nerd. But they, you know, they're going to be there. If you're a Shenmue fan, you can come on out. If you have a badge, I guess, to E3. Take photos, sign autographs, all that fun stuff. Totally on board. And we'll be filming a video, hanging at the Sega booth for a few hours. So there you go. If you guys want to come on out, well, that would be great. We could use people because we are going to be filming a video, and we could definitely use people who know something about Shenmue in that video. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you all later.